welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Heart for Hire with us again for the second time.
Yeah, second time.
In real life this time. And she can say her name and what she does.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Julie. I sing and I play guitar in Heart for Hire.
Awesome. So my first question, Julia, since we have already spoken already, you know, what's been going on with the band? How has things been since the last time we talked? And do you have anything new, you know, for the future for Heart for Hire?
So we've been super busy. We're actually working on writing a full-length album.
Awesome.
Which has been awesome. Just playing around with a bunch of different sounds and styles, and I think the evolution of what we're doing is in a super awesome direction.
Sick.
So nothing that's coming out super soon right now as far as new music. However, we do have a really busy April coming up. So starting with Launch Music Conference, and next week we are going to be in Philadelphia at Creep Records.
Awesome.
And then the following weekend we're going to be in Baltimore for the Great Heights Band CD release show.
Sick.
So we're just keeping super busy for the month of April, and then we're writing some new tunes and hopefully going to get in the studio in the next couple of months.
Awesome. Who do you have anybody that you are planning on working with for like the new release, and like what type of sound are you going for? Are you going to try to like follow up with a similar release to the one that you released before, or you know, like how have you kind of like evolved and changed your sound a little bit?
So I think kind of where we're heading is we're probably going to do a little bit more of the pop influence.
Okay.
Brian, our guitar player, and myself are super big indie pop fans.
Okay, yeah.
And we've been taking a lot of influence from the stuff we've been listening to. Like
any bands in particular?
So Brian and I both have this love for a band called Small Poles, and they're so much poppier than we're probably ever going to go, but we love them. Listening to bands like Vinyl Theater, Bleachers, Bad Signs, and like we just want to take some of those elements and like some of the electronics and stuff and do that, but also, you know, at the core of things we are super big, you know, we're super big Paris fans and like State Champs fans and stuff, so we still kind of have that pop punk vibe, but in our latest record we do, and then I think we're gonna kind of move towards more of that like electronic, like a little bit darker sound, but also a little bit poppier sound. So do
you feel like bands within like that pop punk genre have kind of moved out of it? I mean, I feel like with a lot of bands, and like one of the more recent album reviews I did was the Wonder Years, and they went more in an alternative rock direction. So do you think that people are like kind of trying to do different stuff? I mean, like every band wants to try to evolve and do different things, but do you feel like, you know, since the first release, like you obviously want to improve, you want to do better, but like you know, what made you want to try to change your sound? Just maybe is it more refreshing for you as in a live setting, or is it more of just like creative change?
So I guess in terms of like evolving our sound, we're all pop punk kids at heart.
Yeah,
like
of course.
All of us grew up listening to bands like All Time Low and Day to Remember and the Wonder Years, and I think that's always going to carry with us when we go in to do the new music. But I think as far as like when you know, when we grew up and like we started listening to more of the indie pop stuff, and I shouldn't say like grow up, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because there's bands like Neck Deep and State Champs and The Story So Far, and those bands have been doing the pop punk thing phenomenally, like awesome, and that's the reason they're like the leaders in the genre right now, and they're keeping that genre alive. And one of the really awesome things about that is, you know, I think for certain bands they totally own it and they can develop in their own way, and then for other bands, like, you know, we started out as a pop punk band and we still love it, but we started taking influences. We're like, hey, let's maybe try like this, like some of the new songs we're working on, where Brian and I are bouncing back and forth already, like, okay, in this bridge I want like all kinds of crazy like synthesizer stuff, and let's layer the vocals with like several different vocal layers, and let's play around with this and see what we can do. And I think one of the fun things about that is we can translate it live, but it doesn't have to be like a replication of it live. It doesn't have to be exactly the same way, but then we like our heads are at a bunch of different places. So I think that's kind of at least how our sound has evolved. But you know, a lot of bands, like you said, the Wonder Years, and I think even Real Friends are going into that more alternative rock genre. But for their particular sound, at least in my personal opinion, I think it really works for them.
Absolutely.
And then going back to bands like, you know, Neck Deep, The Story So Far.
Even Neck Deep, like even for their newest record, they went more in that alternative direction.
They went more in that
but they had some
alternative
pop punk.
record.
They had some great pop punk songs in the record.
In Bloom has like one of the catchiest choruses. I know
100%.
everyone's gonna reference that song, but like it's one of the catchiest choruses. It's so good. It fits into that pop and like alternative rock genre, but it's still
Absolutely.
like you can tell they're a pop punk band.
Yeah, they didn't forget where they came from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things is like, right now we are largely considered to be pop punk.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I like it. Do I think we're going to move away from that a little bit? Probably, just
Certainly,
because it's
yeah.
the way our tastes are changing.
Everybody kind of, and I don't want to reference
Yeah.
grow up, but like everybody kind of has those moments where they feel like I can take the next step. What's the next step for Heart for
Exactly.
Hire? What's the next step for Neck Deep? And I think it's more of a reflective point as opposed to like a musical change. You
For
know?
sure. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And do you feel like that you're kind of taking the more change? Like, are you trying to go about the change in the new sound, or do you think that maybe it's more of a collective group thing where you're all like, okay, I think we should move on and we should try like incorporating different stuff, especially when you're speaking about the new music?
I think all of us have collectively decided we want to move towards a slightly different sound.
Awesome.
Just because of the way our tastes are changing, and some of the stuff we've done, it's interesting because like listening back to some demos, it's great because you can tell where it's heading.
Yeah.
But you can also we know where Heart for Hire came from. I think to reference, by the way, Safe Inside My Own Head, our record is our most recent record that came out the tail end of 2016.
Yes.
Songs on that like Criticize and I'm Not Here for Apologies and Colors, I think are like the three that were like, okay, we really like these songs and we vibe with these songs the most in a live standpoint and just in a listening standpoint. So I think we're going to take those songs and that's how we're going to build on it.
That's awesome, and I'm excited to see it live. I did catch you guys at launch for a little bit, and I thought that I hadn't seen you live, I don't think, at any point. So that was really cool, and just to kind of see like and just you speaking about like the new evolution of what you guys are going for, I think it's definitely a cool direction. I'm excited to see like the progress for sure. But straying away from the new album, I always gotta ask this question: who have you been on repeat? Like, who have you been jamming recently?
So I think I've been jamming Small Pools like crazy.
Okay.
I love that band. I was just talking to a bunch of my friends and we're like trying to figure out when we're gonna go see them. I've had Small Pools on repeat lately. Actually, this band that I learned about pretty recently called the band Camino.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I saw them open for the Dangerous Summer.
Oh, sick,
I've had
sick,
those guys
sick.
on repeat like nonstop. They're like the coolest indie alternative pop sound, whatever you want to call it. They just do it amazing, and I've been listening to a lot of Vinyl Theater lately.
Vinyl Theater,
ton of
awesome.
Ton of it. I love those grooves. I love those poppy riffs. Like I've had those bands on repeat.
I'm curious now that you've gone through a musical change. Like, would you change your dream tour list from the last time we interviewed? Since now everything's kind of like going in a different direction, do you feel like now I need to change what my dream tour was?
Would I still tour with Paris? Absolutely, because I think that's what we mentioned last
Yes.
time. So I said I would totally tour with Paris. I think Paris's sound evolution is awesome, and I think I would love to see what happens when the new music comes out. I think Paris is definitely still really high up on the list, but I would tour with bands like Small Pools. Do I think we're quite poppy enough for that? No, probably not. But I think I would still tour with bands like Paris and Tonight Alive. Tonight Alive's
their latest record was really good.
Their new record slays. Their new record absolutely slays. And funny enough, they had Lynn Gunn feature on one of their songs, and it's an awesome record. And I just love the whole vibe. So I would totally tour with those bands.
Were you more of a fan, because we've been speaking a lot about Paris, were you more of a fan of their like White Noise record as comparison to the new one? I know for myself, I personally like the old record, but like I know, and you've been here at launch, that we had Under Oath as well, and they had a panel about like their new record. And how do you feel about like fans, not even maybe of necessarily your band, but just in general about like musical change? And like I feel like you should take the approach of like they're trying something different, they want to evolve. Do you feel like that's the same sort of mentality that I would have about it? Or
I totally think that. So they were definitely trying to evolve and trying to. They did evolve, not evolve. Because it's so interesting. I was actually, I listened through the record the first time, and it took a second to kind of get what was going on, because I think I went into the mentality that I wanted to hear the white noise part 2.
Yeah, of course.
And I think for a lot of people,
that was the same
we
thought.
all went in with the mentality we wanted to hear the white noise part 2. And that's not what we got. But, after a couple listens to it, and funny you mentioned like bands on repeat, I've actually had that record now on repeat. And songs like Half are like super good. I think Heaven was like, I had Heaven jamming for like the longest time, and then like I listened to the record and like I was super into Half, and you could kind of see where they were going with the sound when they put out the deluxe version of the white noise.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because songs like You and I, exactly. So that was totally an indication of where they were going, and I think once I listen to that and then I'll go back and listen to the white noise, you can totally see where they're going, and I think that sound evolution is awesome. I think it just takes a second to get you got to get out of that whole headspace that I want to go listen to the white noise part 2, because it's not going to happen. And
I think that was, and I would care to agree with that about you in terms of Paris too, because I think for me, like when I was listening to it, I think I found a new appreciation for the new record, just because they wanted to do something different. They were like, we've evolved, we've grown over since the last record, and even the deluxe too. And I like the change. I like that they're super popular now, and I would attribute that same sort of effect to Under Oath too with their new record. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I think for me, like the more I listen to it, the more I start to love it, the more it starts to grow on me. So, and I'm definitely stoked on that. But lastly, Julia, before we go, tell them about your band, of course, where they can find you at, and obviously to keep up to date with new stuff coming out soon.
So to keep up to date with us, you can find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com Heart for Hire Band /Heart for Hire Band. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and you can keep up with everything going on there. We're super active on all of those channels. We are available on Spotify, Apple Music, however you listen to it. Also, if you want downloads, they're on Bandcamp as well. Actually, I think I found us on an illegal download site the other day, and I was like, someone cares about my music.
There you go. That's how you know you've reached a peak.
I feel like that was definitely like a career point when someone put our music on an illegal download site.
You should put it on your life events.
Yeah,
on
I might
Facebook
even stick
now.
it on our Facebook bio and just be like, hey, you don't want to pay for the record? All right.
There it is.
Go download it here. If you want to come out to a show, we are at Creep Records next Sunday, April 22nd. And then after that, we are going to be in Baltimore, Maryland on April 28th with the Great Heights Band. Those are our absolute homies, and they just released a record, so we are so happy to be part of that celebration.
They are the homies. I actually interviewed them not too long ago as well. So definitely go check out Julia's band, Heart for Hire. I've been a fan, obviously, for a little bit. And
thank
we've
you.
done an interview the last
thank
time.
you.
So
now we're in person.
Now it's in person. Well, go check out her band. Links are in the description where you can go find out about it. I'm really hyped for the new record. I think you've definitely got the hype train going, and I love it. Links are in the description, like I said. And if you enjoyed this interview, the second one, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up. And then thanks again to Julia for coming on.
Thank you again for having me.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.